All right, we're live, but we got to let it breathe just for a second because this is a big tent here at MHH, and we got people on Facebook that would be most displeased and hurt. They'd be hurt, Zach, if we did not include them in these streams. We're good on YouTube. I'm just waiting to see. It looks like we're good on Facebook. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest, returned from his glorious celebration of his birthday yesterday. You know him, you love him. Zack Kelberman. Zach, dude, we were giving you happy birthdays yesterday, but just so you hear it from us, happy birthday, bro.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate all the birthday love I got. It was a pretty chill night, but I appreciate you sitting in and holding it down. Happy to be back as always, Chad. We have some actual tangible stuff to go over today. Some legitimate Broncos news. I'm excited.
Starting with, let's do this first because there are some real news pieces to get to, and I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Producer, on the first comment you made. Zach, the Denver Broncos, sometimes as you get marching through covering this team like every single day and like the mountain of work, I retain a lot of information. I retain a lot of historical, probably BS, the stuff I don't necessarily need to, like how many touchdowns John Elway threw when he was a rookie or whatever. But sometimes I forget like simple things like, did the starters play at all in the first preseason game last year, Zach? Today, obviously, Sean Payton said that the starters are going to play against the Niners. Or basically, was it a guarantee? Did he like spell it out to the letter? Not necessarily, but he made it pretty clear that the starters are going to play. So then, as I'm writing up the news article, Zach, I decided to go do a little bit of research on my own subject, and I pull up the game log from first preseason game last year, which was against the Colts. And Jarrett Stidham, who was the starter last year, right, at the time, he played a couple of series. He played like 12 snaps, which equated to like 14% of the first team or of the game snaps. So I'm like, yeah, of course Bo Nix is going to play. But Zach, we are going to see the starters in San Fran.
It's crazy to think that there was any sort of time when Jarrett Stidham was the Broncos starter. But we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. There was a debate when Hackett was the coach. Should the starters play? Should they rest? And I was on the losing side of that. You were on the right side of that. I think the starting unit should. I understand the injury risk, but there's a lot of new moving pieces, a lot of different players, and it's all about building chemistry at this point in the summer. So I advocate for what Sean Payton's doing here, Chad.
Got to build up that callus, baby. And
right.
Don't make the same mistake that Nathaniel Hackett did in 2022 and rest all the starters. Remember how frustrating that was? Like, I mean, this is water way under the bridge. And we had kind of talked about this last week a little bit, Zach, but still, everyone was so excited to get their first look at Russell Wilson because it was still brand new, right? Yeah. Russ as a Bronco was still brand new, and make them wait. They Kenny Powers did Broncos country on Russ and made everybody wait till the Seattle Seahawks opener. And by then, Zach, it was already not looking good. We're like, ooh, maybe this isn't going to work out so hot. But we tried to maintain our optimism. Thank goodness those are in the, that's in the rear view, as you just mentioned, Jarrett Stidham as the starting quarterback. But he did start 2 games to close out the 2023 season. So as the only incumbent in Sean Payton's system when Bo Nix arrived, yeah, he got to keep the nominal QB1 position until it mattered. Then it was Bo.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's something Sean Payton's talked about too, is building the callus. You can't, it sounds weird, but if you rest the players, it's actually, they're more prone to get hurt during the course of the season. You have to expose them to the violence of the NFL, getting hit, getting tackled, and build up the repetition, and not overdoing it, not extending them into the second half necessarily, but at least a couple series just to get those two things squared away before week 1. You're muted, I think.
I do that sometimes when I'm going over to like get something queued up because I know what's coming next. Most of the time I remember if I mute myself before I leave screen. That time I didn't. Sorry, guys. What I was going to say here is, Zach, that it's exciting, first of all, that we're going to get to see some starters this weekend. The joint practice is on Thursday. Yeah. That's going to be fun. But the other big news I mean, there's quite a few actual pieces we'll get to today, but one of the other big sexy pieces of news, Zach, you had the article for us here not long before we went live by about 10 or 15 minutes. And that is what Sean Payton said to Yahoo. Yes, allow. Man, when you stream from Firefox, dude, everything is so much harder. So Sean Payton talking to Yahoo Sports gives them a sit down, and Zach writes it up here. Check it out when you get some time. But he tells Charles Robinson, quote, the short-term goal is winning the division. Is that on screen? It's not on screen. Why isn't it showing, dude? I just did it. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I'll read it. The short-term goal is winning the division, but this is a team, Zach, capable of winning the Super Bowl. I've coached 6 teams that I thought could win the Super Bowl. Some went to championship games, some to the playoffs. This is my 7th team, the 2025 Broncos, Zach, that he says, I think has that, close quote.
Little bit of goosebumps there, Chad. And I don't think it's homerism on Sean Payton's part. I don't think it's purely coach speak. You saw what they did with the rookie quarterback, 10 wins. They went into Buffalo, got an early lead. They added to an already elite defense. They got more weapons for Bo Nix. Sean Payton said today that Nix is light years, quote unquote, ahead of where he was at this point last year. So I don't think it's that crazy to predict and put out there. And I like it more than the bashful, as I wrote later in the article. Sean Payton, if you remember, the win-loss projections, 5.5 wins last season, he goes, the next time I lose more than 7 games in a season or whatever will be the first time. He was more bashful. He was more tentative because he couldn't make such a bold declaration. Now he can, and now I like the proverbial middle fingers coming out.
There's more to that story. We're going to get to it, and yes, I agree with you. But first, catching up on some great super chat superstars. Sounding off tonight, like Taylor Christensen, who's also a very valued, precious member of the growing MHH membership community. He says, happy late birthday, Zach.
Thank you,
also,
Taylor.
Are we concerned with Bo's interceptions? I don't think so. I love Sean Payton's confidence. And also, what do you think of NH
Hackett.
back in, Nathaniel Hackett back in Green Bay, go Broncos, etc. Zach, answer, and then I'll provide a little something that Sean Payton had to say today.
Well, Hackett's back in Green Bay as a defensive analyst or whatever, so I think that's pretty hilarious. He couldn't get an offensive role, but that's their problem, not our problem. And I put this out on Twitter on Saturday or Friday when Bo threw his first pick to PS2. I think it was. You want this to happen now, Chad. This is the whole point of practice, is to get the bad plays out of the way. I'd rather it happen now on, I think it was August 1st at the time, than December 1st. It's the whole point. And going against the defense, as good as they are with the reigning depoy, it's going to make Bo Nix a better quarterback. He won't make these same mistakes twice. And I know he had more interceptions today. He threw one to Sternad. It happens. It's going to happen, and you want him to take more chances and X out the plays he's not comfortable with and go forward with the ones that he is. I'm not concerned at all.
After he talked about Sean Payton today, Bo Nix's confidence and just his how much further along he is, he said he's light years further along, doing well. Yeah. The next question was, well, what about the interceptions in practice, coach? And he brushed him off. Quote, look, we're charting picks here like hurricanes. He's doing fine, right? So in other words, like with the same kind of, oh no, something's coming, you're charting the hurricane. Is it going to get within, striking distance of Florida or whatever? He really minimized it. He's not worried about it. But it is interesting. I mean, I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, but Zach, as you mentioned, the first one came Friday. So that was day 7 officially of Broncos camp. So he went the whole first week, half of which was in pads, without throwing a pick. And it seems like potentially what it means to me, Zach, is the last 3 practices, including the scrimmage on Saturday, where the intensity was a little bit higher. Bo's been trying to push the envelope a little bit, and that's what you want to see. This is the format to do just that, because if he understands where his boundaries are in the regular season because of how he butted up against them in training camp, that's a good thing. The idea is that minimizes the mistakes in the regular season when the games count. Whereas if he's, Jay Cutler in this thing and he's trying to test those boundaries when the games count, you're going, oh man, Jay, come on, dude. So that's the silver lining.
There's also no weakness to this Broncos defense. All we've heard, every report, Chad, the pass rush is dominating the offensive line and causing Knicks to scramble outside the pocket. He's throwing into a secondary that has the defensive player of the year. You have a first-round rookie. You have a very talented back end. So any other defense, and we've talked about this, including the Niners, his upcoming opponent, it's going to seem like a piece of cake compared to what he's dealt with in practice in Denver.
We have the Duchess, Michaela Parker, dear friend, MHH family, Mount Rushmore. You guys know her well. We love you, Michaela. Thank you for the super chat. And she's got a question. She says, what is your honest opinion about Bo? Will he be a star? Will he be an elite quarterback? Well, this is a good question. Zach, did you cover that in the article? I'll scroll. What he said. Yeah,
you did. Yeah.
Okay. So what have I said about Sean Payton from the beginning? You know, it's kind of copying something that we all used to say about John Elway, right? In Elway, we trust back in the day. In Payton, I trust. And Payton, he said, hey, Bo Nix is my guy. In that same interview with Robinson at Yahoo, he said of Bo Nix, quote, he's going to be one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the league the next 2 years. That's what we're seeing right now. He doesn't take sacks. He's got exceptional arm strength. He threw the longest ball in the NFL last year in terms of air yards against Cincinnati, 67 air yards, by the way. He can run, he can throw with funny body angles, close quote. So, you know, it's fun to hear Coach say that today, Zach, but it's just the latest thing, what we've seen, what we know. Like, Bo Nix is the real deal. And to hear Sean Payton, I mean, hey, I'm going, hey, we found the franchise quarterback. The next 2 or 3 years are going to be awesome as he continues to grow because they can spend all this money on the cap. They're not having to pay Bo Nix huge, exorbitant sums because he's on a cost control rookie deal. But to hear Sean Payton saying, no, what I'm seeing is a guy who's top 4 or 5 quarterback in the NFL right now, the next 2 years. That means counting this year. That's pretty encouraging, Michaela.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michaela, as always, for your generosity. It's amazing to see and so appreciated. It seemed like in that quote, though, Chad, that Sean Payton was dispelling every single Bo Nix narrative there was. No arm strength. He can't throw. He can't do this. He can't do that. Well, he showed on film that he can do everything. And you can argue, Michaela, he's already a star. He set multiple league records, franchise records, took the Broncos to the playoffs for the first time in a decade, first winning record in a decade. He's only ascending from here. And I agree with Sean Payton's analysis, Chad, and I'm not saying that because I cover the Broncos. In the next couple of years, barring injury, I'll knock wood as always, Bo Nix could be in that elite tier. He could be the top 5, one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the league.
If you look at Bo Nix's final, here, let me pull this up. Let me see if it looks good enough to do scratch and sniff. It might not be, but if you look at Bo Nix's game log from last year, and you chart the last 8 games, all right? Let's see, 4, 7, 9, 12, 13, 15, 19, 21. He had 21 touchdown passes. Now, Scott will mention, hey, especially in that last game, Payton was stat padding. He's trying to really make sure Bo got his stats in that Chiefs against the Chiefs backups. True though that may be, it counts. 21 touchdowns, Zach, in the final 8 games. You don't have to be a mathematician if you extrapolate that over the course of a season. We're talking about a dude who was on pace to put up 40-plus touchdowns. You look at the first half of his rookie season, Zach, that's the learning curve. You're seeing him grow incrementally, step by step. You really started to see it in October, but he, from basically, what is that? That's from week 10 on, that Kansas City loss, he was as good as any quarterback in the NFL in a lot of the key metrics. I'm excited about this dude. Could you see 40-plus touchdowns in year 2, Zach? People would lose their minds. And I'm not even talking about Broncos country. I'm talking about the bitter clingers still holding on to the Bo Nix as a system quarterback, benefiting from the perfect marriage.
I can absolutely see that, and I'll tell you why. Everything you just laid out was true, Chad, but I'll ask you a question you know the answer to. Who was Bo Nix's starting tight end? Adam Troutman. Who is the starting running back? I mean, at times, Blake Watson, Tyler Bidet, Jaleel McLaughlin, they have upgraded exponentially. So if he did those things with that lack of supporting cast, including the lack of a wide receiver too, What is in store for 2025 with a strengthening of a support system? 40 plus is an easy bet.
You start getting giddy thinking about it. Now we don't want to jump the shark, as it were, keep it realistically in check. But I mean, low 30s as kind of a solid floor for Bo Nix's touchdown number. I could see him in the 40s, man. But just based on what we saw last year, as Zach just did a great job illustrating, a more limited supporting cast, and those young wideouts that he was playing with last year, they're continuing to grow just like he is. You're seeing Troy Franklin shine, Devon Vele. Pat Bryant today caught a beautiful 70-yard touchdown splitting the defense. That was from Stidham on second team, but still, man. Plus, you've got 2 undrafted rookie receivers showing out, dude. Courtney Jackson today caught a awesome desperation throw from Sam Ellinger that was pretty impressive to see. Joaquin Davis has been doing well. So just from Zach, and then, of course, Evan Ingram, as you mentioned, just the pass catchers, before you even get to the improvements in the run game, it's all the pieces are there. Ronk, dude, thank you so much. Great to see you. Much love and respect to you. He says, good evening, Chad and Zach on the Mile High Huddle podcast. Go Bo Broncos. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And Bo Nix also had a first-time starter at center, Chad in Wattenberg. And this year, Sean Payton said that Wattenberg is an asset starter. So he's obviously grown from 24 to 25. Everything across the board, every box has been checked for Bo Nix. And that's why Super Bowl talk, conquering the division, 40-plus touchdowns, none of it, Chad, is out of reach, in my opinion.
So, Scott, that was 8 touchdowns amongst the running backs total last year, right? I mean, J.K. Dobbins had more touchdowns. He missed 4 games last year, and he still had more touchdowns than the entire Broncos running back stable, Zach. He had 9 rushing scores last year, and they had 8. Like, ugh.
How many times was Bo Nix the leading rusher in a game, Chad?
Too many. And, people go, oh, well, they finished 16th as a rushing offense. It's like, hey, look, if you remove Bo Nix's 430 yards from that equation, then do the math, it paints a pretty stark picture of just how flaccid that rushing attack was, Zach.
The perfect word for that. Absolutely.
But what else? We got a lot more to talk about, but some hellos. Big Earn, what's up, pal? Kevin, who was the first comment tonight? Got to give him some props. David Youngkin. What's up, big dog? He says, even Broncos country, some players may play a couple series. Some players may not. Hint, hint, Greenlaw. I don't know. I wouldn't play Greenlaw just because so far I don't want to tempt that fate, Zach, but he might be persuaded by Greenlaw to allow him to play a little bit just because these are all his buddies. This is his team, his former team. Let me get a series coach type thing. I wouldn't be shocked.
Well, if Mike Tyson says he wants to play, then Mike Tyson's going to play. But in all seriousness, I'm with you. I would err on the side of caution. He's coming off multiple injuries now, and you don't want to risk him for the regular season. So as badly as he wants to go against his former teammates, he'll have to watch from the sideline if I was the coach.
Yeah, definitely. Sam Bam jumping in. Great to see you, buddy. Thank you for a very generous super chat. Mount Rushmore for a reason. He says, evening, guys. Happy Monday and happy we have a Broncos preseason game this week. Looking forward to seeing how the Broncos look on Saturday. Let's mostly hope for no injuries. Go Broncos 11-6, baby. Man, it could be 12. It could be 13 wins. I don't know. The farther we get into this, I guess I got to keep it reasonable. We haven't even seen them on the grass yet against an outside team. So maybe if it shapes up the way I'm thinking it's going to shape up after the Niners game, start being real geeky, start being real nerdy and like orange colored glassy about it. But I'm stoked, man. 11-6. Yeah, let's hope we can stay healthy. The weird thing about these injuries so far, Zach, first of all, with the exception of Johnny Walker, we still don't know the full story on that undrafted outside linebacker being placed on season-ending injured reserve. So far, 2 conspicuous things to note on the injuries the Broncos have suffered since training camp began. 3 of them at the inside linebacker level. You're going, what the Sam Hill's going on? And then also none of them, Zach, have been season ending. So thank your lucky stars.
Yeah, Sam, thank you for the generosity. And I'm not mostly hoping for no injuries. That's the only thing I'm hoping for. That's the only thing that matters coming out of this game is that the Broncos are healthy and intact. I've seen way too many times where teams start the preseason 3-0, where back then they even go 4-0 and they have an awful regular season. It's not an indicator of what's to come. We just have to hope, cross our fingers, and knock wood as always, that they stay healthy these next 3 games.
No doubt about it. Sam, pardon me, Sam. Bro, thank you so much for the support. Great to hear from you. And yeah, Big Earn, I gotta concur, dude. Great. John Elway is the greatest football player, the greatest quarterback ever. I agree, dude. But I'm a little partial, right? The Elway signed helmet. I need to show you guys that again. I debuted it, whatever it was, like 5 years ago. It's been in possession though for like 30 years. Eric, what's up, bro? Great to see you, Eric Flynn. What the Sam Hill? We normally see him throwing down on Facebook. Here he is on YouTube, crossing streams, dude. I love it. Cross-pollination, dude. Great to see you, Eric. Thank you for the support, big dog. We also have here Phil, Tucson Phil, jumping in. Great to see you. Thank you, brother. Good evening, Chad, Zach, and Deacon Scott. It's great to hear our rookies like Zadeh Barron, Loner, Bryant, all showing they were right with the picks. Buckham, MHH for life, Broncos for life. Yeah, so Barron, I wouldn't say was like huge splash day for him today, Zach, but he had a very nice day by all accounts. Loner is, flashing here and there. It was really interesting to hear what Troutman said about him a couple days ago. We can get into that if we want. And then Bryant definitely showing out today, especially, man. Huge play. But the rookie class, the 2025 draft class, so far so good.
Yeah, this could rival the 2021 class, and maybe nothing can touch 24 because that's where Bo Nix was included. But this is going to be from top to bottom impactful, Chad. They're going to have key contributors across the board. Zadeh, he's made PBUs in coverage. He's held up against Cortland Sutton in one-on-one drills. It's not easy to play opposite PS2, and so far so good for the rookie. Pat Bryant, still my hot take that at some point, Chad, he is going to be wide receiver too. Not Troy Franklin, Vele, or even Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant, who's looked like a pro from the moment they've drafted him. That's the number one takeaway from Pat Bryant that the coaches and the fellow players have said about him is that he's well beyond his years maturity-wise, and you can sense when he's running on the field, he glides, the ball kind of gravitates toward him, he has sure hands. He is going to make a lot of fans within Broncos country very fast.
No block, no rock, baby.
That's right.
And Sean Payton, we know how much that he appreciates that. So, Ralph, what's going on, big dog? Chad and Zach, sorry I'm late. Sitting on a boat in Savannah, Georgia. Good for you, bro.
Cool.
I'll be back at Mile High tomorrow. It's my 24th wedding anniversary. So I'm thankful to even catch a minute of the show. Yeah, dude, thank you for making a little time for us. I hope you do a lot of catching today. Not so much fishing, right? Maybe you're fishing. I don't know. But hope you catch some fish. Or maybe you're just sunning yourself and enjoying the weather out in Savannah. But congrats to you and your bride. Got to meet Ralph and his missus about a month or so back, and it was really cool. So, yeah, happy 24th, dude. That's a big deal. Congrats on that.
Yeah, Savannah's beautiful, Ralph. So I hope you're enjoying everything out there. Hope you're having a good night. We appreciate you tuning in with us and taking some time out. But congrats on the wedding anniversary and have a good time.
Amen to that. Safe travels home, big dog. Okay, Zach. So the other thing is, we were talking about from Phil, Barron, Loner, Bryant, RJ Harvey could end up having the biggest impact of this rookie class in year one anyway. And dude, he's still looking good so far. Like he's been really as advertised. What I'm curious to see, and I don't know if we'll get any looks at this, probably not, because why would you telegraph it before you have to? But if we're going to see him at all get some out of the backfield targets in San Francisco in the preseason game.
He is going to be an absolute stud, and I said that with or without J.K. Dobbins in the picture. He can really do it all. He's a runner, he's a pass catcher, and they'll coach him up where he can be an able-bodied pass blocker. But you see the wiggle, you see the game-breaking explosion, you see why he was a second-round pick, and you see why the Broncos didn't reach on R.J. Harvey. And again, just like with Pat Bryant, Chad, I feel like Harvey, it's only a matter of time, 1A or 1B. It's only a matter of time before he's the no-doubt starter in the Broncos backfield.
Really excited, man, about just those improvements. Like if the wide receiver room and the tight end room stayed static, not only in who's in the room, but like the level of skill and talent, and all the Broncos did by way of upgrades or additions this offseason was Dobbins and Harvey. Man, I'd be stoked even with that, but we know that's not the case. There was a lot more to look forward to. Greg, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Pearl, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Run it back. We every once in a while I'm triggered by the trauma of the Russ era. Okay, Zach, there is one other aspect of what Sean Payton told Robinson over there at Yahoo, and you guys go read the article when you get a second. But this is the last thing I want to get at.
That's what he said today. That's not what he said to
Robinson. Oh, my bad. Right. This is what he said. Because, of course, he was asked about the Yahoo thing today at the podium and whatnot. And so the attributes of a championship caliber team, Sean Payton said, quote, obviously it has to start with quarterback, has to start with defense, has to start with the offensive line. Check, check, check. There are certain things that if they're not on point, it's hard to make a statement like that. When you look at some of these critical factors, I told him that just means you have a chance. And then I would say most importantly, ownership, because there are 20 teams that each year have hopes and dreams and they're dysfunctional at the top. Close quote. It is shots fired, but do you think he realizes, I should say, Zach, that he's throwing shade when he says that? Or do you think it's an after the fact he goes, I could have worded that maybe a little bit different?
Yeah, probably. I also think, Chad, he's been spoiled by working for two of the best ownership situations in the NFL with the Bensons in New Orleans and now with the Walton Penners in Denver. But yeah, it's also true. I mean, facts over feelings here. There's a lot of good teams, a lot of good talent on those teams that are held back, Dallas, by their ownership situation. And it's just a fact, reality.
Zach, we mentioned earlier that Sam Ehlinger had one of the bigger plays of today's team practice during team period. You also had an article, oddly enough, first of all, let me ask you, was your idea to write about Ehlinger before Sean Payton was at the podium?
No. I heard him talk about him. I'm like, I got to write this down.
So break it down, dude, like Cliff Notes version, not Cliff Notes, but paraphrase what Payton said about Ehlinger.
Well, he just went in on his physical attributes and also his intangible attributes, Chad. And I really comped him in the article, if you guys want to read it, to Zach Wilson. And as I wrote here, Ehlinger is the third string quarterback like Wilson was last season. Ehlinger flamed out in his starting opportunity with the Colts, just as Wilson did with the Jets. But most importantly, Ehlinger has caught the eye of Sean Payton, especially after practice today. Ehlinger, as Chad mentioned earlier, had a 50 or 60-yard touchdown bomb. It was probably the throw of the day, but here's what Sean Payton said, quote, really positive. He made a throw today. He's extremely athletic. He's comfortable throwing on the run. There's a little moxie to him. Sometimes it could be a little big for guys, but for him, not at all. You feel like he's a guy who has played well before and carries himself that way. He's very good off the pocket, very good off schedule. He's strong. I like the player a lot. So, I don't think he's going to unseat Bo for the starting job, and I don't think he's going to push Stidham for the quarterback 2 job, but this is, like Wilson, the latest developmental pet project in Denver for Sean Payton.
They weren't able to spin Wilson into a trade like a draft pick. Who knows? Maybe if Ehlinger has himself a summer, maybe because, if you think about it, Wilson didn't exactly set the world on fire last summer. He looked solid. He had that one decent game, but if Ehlinger can do that this summer, then maybe Broncos will have a little something to barter with there. But Sam, jumping in again, second super chat. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Sam.
He says, also, what was your guys' take on the Zach Allen extension? And do you think the Broncos can trade for Micah Parsons for a 2038 seventh round pick and a bag of chips. That's funny, bro. But Zach, share your take for Sam on the Zach Allen 4-year, $102 million extension, something like $69.5 million guaranteed, I believe it was. What were your thoughts on the deal?
Well, number one, if there's any general manager that can swindle the Cowboys for Parsons, it's George Payton. And I hope more of Broncos country is giving Payton the flowers because he really is an elite GM. I thought the Zach Allen deal was fair for both sides. I feel like Allen might have even left some money on the table, Chad, because he talked about wanting to be months ago in the neighborhood of 25 a year, and he averaged out, I think, 25.5 a year. So it shows that the Broncos will take care of players that perform. I know he's not a homegrown player, but these guys are also bought in. They're not bleeding the organization dry. They're not trying to get every cent of the Walmart money. They want a nucleus around them where they can go win championships and also get paid in the process.
Yep. I think it was a great deal. I think it gives them also some flexibility in 3 years' time. You know, they can take a look at it and make sure he's still playing at a level that is commensurate with his contract. And if there is a step back at all, I mean, they timed it perfectly for him for that 3-year window to be basically the last 3 years that he plays in his 20s. So by the time he gets to that 30 mark, he'll still be under contract for a year or two, and they can reconvene and see if they want to keep him as is, or heck, who knows, maybe even extend him, maybe do something. But either way, it was a good deal. And I think that if he wanted to be that guy, he could have held on to try and beat Milton Williams, et cetera, et cetera. I've got an all-pro. He wasn't going to get up near Chris Jones' level of whatever it is, $31.5 million per year as an interior defender. But still, I think he could have maybe gotten there with Milton Williams, and he didn't. So still a huge increase, Zach, over what he was making before. I mean, basically $10+ million increase. And I'm excited for him. He came in that same day, signs his contract, goes back out to the scrimmage, dominates the scrimmage, and then goes and showers, hits the podium, and he's all laughs and smiles. And one of the great things about him is he's so reliable, Zach, not only in terms of what he does on the field, but he stays on the field, you know, like he's availability, you know, best ability, that whole thing. I love that.
I don't know if you guys remember this. When the Broncos signed Zach Allen originally, I didn't know much about him either, and coming out of Arizona, but they called him Baby J.J. Watt because that's where J.J. played the last couple of years of his career in Arizona, and he was mentoring Zach Allen. And by God, he does look like J.J. Watt. His motor, the tenacity, getting after the quarterback, his run-stopping ability, he was worth every cent of that contract, and now the Broncos will turn their sights to Nick Benito, potentially, Chad.
Bob Morris of MHH, our cap guy, he graded it a B+ contract for what it's worth, Sam. Ralph, will a good coach even go to bad ownership situation or just desperate coaches? No, I think even good coaches will make the mistake when the money is involved, you know?
Right.
I mean, maybe I'm making too much of him because I am a little bit of a Gruden fanboy, but John Gruden going back to Oakland, for example, like then Vegas, whatever. I don't know. People like to hate on Chucky for obvious reasons. He had some pretty ugly things exposed about him, but as a coach, man, by that point, who else? Who are some of the other guys? Like, I mean, Mike Shanahan went to Washington, dude, with that ownership group. Now we're going way back, right? We're going way back to whatever it was, 2012, when he emerged from, let's see, what was it, a 2.5, 3-year hiatus from the league after the Broncos fired him. So, yeah, good coaches can go to bad ownership situations when that almighty dollar, Zach, is dangled.
I mean, I know they're not a bad team necessarily. I don't know as much about the college situation, but look at North Carolina. You think Bill Belichick would have been hired if they didn't throw him a Brinks truck full of cash and power? Absolutely, it happens all the time. The dollar is the almighty, whether you're a player, a coach, an executive, or an ordinary person like you and I. Unfortunately, Chad, it still runs the world.
James E., the Doc JC in the house with a generous super chat. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, James.
Appreciate you, buddy. What's up, brothers? Happy birthday, Zach.
Thank you.
Hope to get back for the meet and greet. That would be awesome, brother. Week 7, October 19th. What are you all hoping to see this week? And on our team, I want to see the run. Yeah, it would be nice to see the run. It'd be nice to see this. Maybe you only really, Zach, get a decent look at JK and RJ when Bo's on the field. But let's see if Jalil's taking another step. Let's see if Audric Estime has, and Bidet and Watson. So I'm right there with you, James.
That's what I was going to say. And thank you so much, James, for the birthday wishes. Of course, we all want to see Harvey and Dobbins, but Estime has looked really good in training camp. He's been the forgotten man. Jaleel McLaughlin has been really good in camp. Bidet, Watson, they've all made plays. They've all shown wiggle and shown why they should be hanging around. So I'm very excited to see some of the backup battles and running back right there at the top.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Thank you again, James. I want to see I'm really curious to see how the backup O-line play is for the Broncos because there's still a lot of young guys, growth, all that. Let's see if they've taken some steps in 2025. So that's another thing I'm looking forward to. And yeah, Ronk, Vance Joseph was a big reason why Zach Allen is here in Denver. I wrote about that today. Is he the reason? No, I mean, the Broncos paid him. Broncos paid him a pretty fat deal for where he was at that point in his career. But I don't know. I'm kind of with you on that, Ronk. It's very un-PC because Vance Joseph still is hated in Broncos country. Like just the other day, dude, it was a totally unrelated article. Now, granted, trolls abound, Zach, on Facebook. We've known this for many, many, many years, but it was some defensive-oriented article. I think it might have had to do with JFM talking about he was underpaid or underappreciated, whatever. And the very first comment underneath, because, you do a good job. You got to go in and cultivate your comment section or else sometimes things can get out of hand. So I do that usually once a day on all the socials. And the very first comment was, first things first, #fire Vance. And I said, wait a minute. You want to fire the guy, let me get this straight, who fielded a top 5 defense last year, a defense that not only broke the franchise record in sacks, but led the NFL. Oh, and by the way, the defense that produced the Defensive Player of the Year, the first time a Bronco had won that award since 1978, and you want to fire the defensive coordinator? Pound sand, in other words, right? But still, my point on that is he doesn't get the appreciation he deserves this far in because of how bad those first 2 years were as a head coach. And then also that Dolphins game still where, it's still in there. It's still kicking around in Broncos country's noggins, not with everybody, but it's still there. But it's true though. If Vance doesn't get hired by the Broncos, Zach Allen might have signed elsewhere.
That's exactly what I was going to say in terms of the VJ hate. No one's going to remember this season. Unfortunately, they're going to be stuck on his stint as a head coach and also 70-20. It is what it is. Those people are low IQ. Let them think that. But with Zach Allen, though, to the previous comment, is it the chicken or the egg? Did Zach Allen make VJ's defense go, or was it VJ's defense that made Zach Allen? I don't know. I think Zach's a hell of a player, and fortunately, the Broncos retained him for the long term.
Ralph wants to know if there will be a gut reaction show next Saturday. You bet your bottom dollar, my brother, there will absolutely be. Now that football is back, preseason or no, there will be gut reaction. I'm just trying to remember what time that game's at. Week 1
Eastern, I think.
Yeah, it's a lady. Yep, it's not too late. It's 6:30 Mountain Time, 8:30 Eastern. Yeah, so it'll be like going live, Zach, after a Monday night or Sunday night game, basically. So anyway, but yes, that's the plan, brother. You'll see us Saturday night. It'll be a gas. Okay, let me see where we're at. 38 minutes. We're doing pretty good time-wise, guys. But George says, come Saturday, I get to see the team and all the rookies. Broncos for life, MHH for life. Hit the thumbs up. Awesome, dude. Stoked you're going to be there, George. That's really cool for you, buddy. Kevin wants to know, who do you think is our best defensive player? I like Benito, but I don't know if he's worth more than PS2. He's definitely not worth more than PS2. Not at this stage in his career. But people were going gaga today, Zach, in particular, over that first step of Nick Benito in practice. Yeah. Just like when he times it right, the snap, dude, like today, he's basically back there almost intercepting a halfback toss. Bo Nix just tossing it to a halfback. That's how like quick his first step is. So, the double-edged sword to that, of course, is sometimes you guess wrong, and they get you on a encroachment. But what's your answer? Who's the best defensive player not named Pat Surtain? Let's put it that way, because that's pretty much an obvious answer.
Benito's a tremendous pass rusher. He's a tremendous athlete. We saw the get off in that Colts game, Chad, when he had that pick six that won them the game and swung the Broncos season. But you can argue he's not the second best player on the defense. You can argue the player that was just paid by the Broncos, Zach Allen, is the second best defensive player because of what he does up front, the blockers he takes up, and the pressure he puts on the quarterback makes it possible for Benito and Cooper and Tillman and Ellis to all feast. So Benito's a great player, but that's why they paid Zach Allen before him. Diablo says, if you guys want a good laugh, look at Nick Wright's reaction to Sean Payton's Yahoo interview. Is it that good of is it really, are we going to laugh? It's that good? I'll check it out if you say it's that good, Diablo. But as a rule, I avoid that dude for what it's worth. But if you say it's that good, bro, I'll go check it out. Trust on that. String Guy says, I knew Bryant was going to be good. I agree, Zach. I see him as a natural wide receiver too. Yeah, String Guy, maybe you were more prescient than I was because I thought the Broncos might have reached on him a little bit on draft night. I was falling into the hysteria and then emotions settled, and I realized the Broncos might have got a Michael Thomas clone for Sean Payton. And that looks damn good opposite Cortland Sutton.
It's a fierce battle right now for that number 2 spot, and for me, it's too early to say for sure. These preseason games, hopefully we'll be able to see it a little bit better with our own eyes and judge it when it's a little bit more meaningful anyway. When I say our own eyes, these games obviously carry probably a little bit more weight than what goes on in practice. That first week and a half of training camp is always a big part of the equation. Like if you look at who makes their team, etc., jobs that are won and lost as a pie chart, it's probably like, Zach, I don't know, 40% is that first week and a half of training camp. And I would argue that the remainder is the preseason. So Randy, dude, what's up? One of our longtime Super Chat superstars up in and slash supporters up in the Great White North of Alaska, the frozen tundra. Great to see you, big dog. Thank you for that super chat. He says, go Broncos 11-5.
He means 12-5.
Yes, exactly. Because now you got to do it's so I hate this, Randy, dude. Trust. But now you have to do the math based on 17 games and negate however many decades you've been used to, like me, 3 or 4 decades of doing the math based on a 16-game schedule.
And soon there's going to be 18 games to calculate, so that's going to be fun. But appreciate the sentiment, Randy. And whether you predicting 11-6 or 12-5, I could see the Broncos reaching that, and so could your head coach, Sean Payton.
Oh, let's see. No, you see, I live in Florida. So then, what was I misinterpreting there on the come Saturday? I see what you mean. You get to watch the game, right? Cool, dude. Awesome. Ralph's rubbing it in on Gene saying you suck because you have to work every preseason game. That's a bummer, bro. I'm sorry that see, look, Randy, 12-5, oops, live shows. Exactly, dude. If I was having to do math live, I would not pass the test too well. String Guy, Zach, after watching at Illinois last year, Bryant, that is, there was no doubt in my mind he made Luke Altmaier look like Joe Montana.
It's amazing what some weapons can do for a quarterback. And he's one of those types where so far, if you throw it anywhere in his vicinity, Chad, he has such good ball skills naturally and tracking ability over the top where he'll just pluck it out of the air. We don't have to worry about the dropsies, the butterfingers. He's a mature player. He's been good with the media. I really like this selection more and more.
I don't know, Scott. Do you think Nick Benito's a top 10 edge? I don't know, Zach, in the NFL, right? Like, is he a top 10 guy at his position? Because he was exciting last year. He had those takeaways, right? Back-to-back games. He had a lot of cleanup sacks though. So I don't know if he would deserve, after that one kind of breakout year, to be considered amongst the top 10 edge rushers in the NFL. But if he can kind of duplicate what he did last year and build on that, like win more than just the speed rush, win more than just cleanup sacks, he could. And that's why the Broncos, Zach, might still be waiting a little bit before they get him signed.
If the criteria is sacks, I mean, he had 13 and a half. He was third most in the NFL. I would say he's, if not top 10, then knocking on the door of top 10. He also had game-changing plays. And again, the Browns game, the Colts game, if the Broncos don't win those, they don't go to the playoffs. Nick Bonitto swung the season in the balance there with his ability. So I would say he's close to it, if not already there, Chad.
Pro 16 says Bo's play calling will be so much faster this year. And that's something that Sean Payton talked about today relative to his growing confidence, and not just like calling the signals, understanding the plays, getting the verbiage out, but like keeping his teammates sharp, right? Here's what he said, quote, the full quote: he's much further along. What it allows him to do is message more to other players in the huddle. When you first get started, you get the play and you're calling it. When you're further along, you're able to talk maybe about a split real quick. If you look at it, you have those 12 seconds, you get the play, the cadence, the snap count, and then can you remind the back, like, hey, you might be the primary. The little reminders. He's light years further along. He's doing well, close quote. So, yeah, dude, that's going to allow him, Zach, to operate even faster.
Look what we heard about. It might have been at the start of training camp. It might have been during OTAs that Bo was coaching other players out on the field. He's not just digesting the offense. He's spitting it back out now and reciting it and helping and messaging, I think, the word that Sean Payton used a few days ago with Bo Nix. So if the game is slowing down and he can tackle the mental aspects of it, we all saw he has the physical traits to get it done and be the Broncos franchise quarterback.
Dylan says, your boy secured some free tickets to Saturday's
Nice.
game, dude. Nothing like free 90 free and NFL game, let alone a Bronco game. So that's great, dude. Good for you, pal. Okay, guys, we got a few messages for you. Then we're going to dip out. But before we do that, of course, we'll take one last look at the chat before we leave. So don't go anywhere.
Fantastic episode, as always, of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com. It gets you some. If you haven't done so, please drop us a like at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, very important as always, that you subscribe, you like, you share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
No doubt about it. The Ronk, thank you, buddy. Saying great show tonight, Chad and Zach on the MHH podcast. Go Bo Broncos.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, bro. We've got Diablo real quick. We'll do some rapid fire. Do you see any chippiness coming during these joint practices this week, Zach? I mean, the Niners are kind of like Denver's cousins now, like they're their cousin team, so to speak. Do you anticipate chippiness?
Well, remember, Huff said he wanted to fight Trent Williams, his former teammate. Then he immediately backed down from that, realizing the size disadvantage. There might be some pushing and shoving. It's going to be two teams that have not hit anyone else besides each other, and it's going to get competitive. But I don't see anything like a brawl happening.
No, but a lot of times those are things you can't anticipate, Diablo. So Let's just hope not. Nick wants to know, do we need to sign a legitimate inside linebacker for depth? They signed one over the weekend, Zach, Garrett
Wallow.
Not Garrett. Yeah, Wallow. Garrett Wallow. In terms of depth, looks like they're good. They're good for now. Like, because of how soon Greenlaw's coming back, how soon they're getting Singleton back in terms of the rotation and the reps in camp. it doesn't seem like, Zach, they're panicking to go reach for another linebacker, although I do, for what it's worth. Do we need to? I think we need to, Nick. Will they? No. Like, I would go out and sign Eric Kendricks right now while the getting's good, but I don't think that's what the direction the team is pointing right now.
Well, for all intents and purposes, the Broncos are only down one inside linebacker for the long term, that being Drew Sanders. I feel like, Chad, I might be wrong. If they had a game tomorrow, Greenlaw and Singleton would be out there in some capacity, especially if it was a playoff game. So if that were the case where Greenlaw would be hurt and missing more time, or Singleton, that would be I would bring in a player like Hendricks. And also you have LaVelle Bailey balling out. I don't want to disrupt that development, Chad, for him in year 2.
That's true. That's a solid point. Phil wants to know, pardon me, is Drew Sanders going on IR? Zach, I don't think they're going to put him on IR, because if they do, it erases the first 4 games of the season. And I think maybe if they were going to, they would have already done it. Like, if they're going to put him on IR, I think they would have already done it. Now, that's not a guarantee. That's not something I've been told or anything by someone in the know or a source, but like, that's the only explanation. Because think about it. That happened. Let me look at the date. That happened on, his actual injury happened on July. Let's see. No, what was it? Was it Friday? No. What day was it he went down? Was last? Yeah, it was Friday. No, it was Saturday. So it was a week ago Saturday. Sorry, I had to clear the cobwebs. So that was the 26th. So let's say north of 8 weeks, or north of 4 to 6 weeks, but probably not longer than 8. I mean, August. When's the first game of the season? The actual date, Zach?
7th, I think. 6th.
Hold on. 8th. It's the 7th. You were right. So yeah, I mean, if it ends up being the full like 8 weeks, he would miss maybe the first 2 games tops, possibly. But if he gets ahead of schedule, there's a chance he could be there for the opener, legitimately. So that's kind of the arithmetic I think that they're weighing right now. But so far they haven't put him on IR, which typically means they're not going to, because they could be using that roster spot right now, Zach, to
right,
with another linebacker or whatever. So that's how I see it.
And as we wrote up recently, Sanders already went corrective surgery, Phil, on that foot injury. He's still out, like Chad said, north of 4 to 6 weeks. I feel like you were saying no news is good news here. If we don't hear he's going on IR, then they're going to roster him for the first couple games of the season.
Brandon, and then we'll dip on out. Do you truly feel confident about Greenlaw and Hufanga getting past the injury concerns and being available for the majority of the season? Confident. With Greenlaw, I wouldn't say confident. I would say optimistic that the Broncos have a real good plan. He's going to throw his body around and he's going to get dinged up, dude. Like, that's going to happen. He'll probably miss some games. It's, can you keep him from having serious injuries that like cost seasons? That's the thing. I'm a lot more, well, now when it comes to Huff, I'm actually confident. With Greenlaw, I'm optimistic. There is a difference.
And I feel like so much of the injury, his lower body tightness that he experienced, Chad, was overcompensating for the quad injury he suffered earlier this offseason. It's all about getting back into football conditioning, football shape. And I'd rather, Brandon, the injuries to Greenlaw and whoever Sanders happen now, get it out of the way now, and let them stay healthy for the rest of the season.
But, I mean, he hasn't even played a game as a Bronco, and he suffered 2 injuries. So, Greenlaw, that is, right? So, like, that's why I'm optimistic. Am I confident? I'm not going to steer you wrong. And Nick Hale, what's up, buddy? What are we hearing about the defense? Dude, that it's lights out, that it's absolutely smothering, that it's making life hard on Bo and the first team. Bo and company, they're getting their licks in. Don't get me wrong, but like they're helping to, in the spirit of iron sharpens iron, Nick, they're helping to hone Nick's and the offense into a significantly sharper tool. But that, yeah, dude, it's that defense, Zach, is full realsies.
They're the best defense in the NFL. I'll say that right now on August 4th. This is the best defense in the NFL. The same unit that finished at or near the top of most categories last season got exponentially better on every layer, from the front to the middle to the back end. And it's not easy to pick off a quarterback like Bo Nix. They've done it. It's not easy to sack a quarterback or a simulated sack in practice like Bo Nix, but they've done it. They've been relentless. They've been just swarming, and they're only going to get better the more they get they gel with each other and get that chemistry down.
Guys, a mile high salute, a special shout out to the great Super Chat superstars, supporters, and YouTube members helping us keep the lights on tonight, like the Duchess, Michaela Parker,
Thank you,
near and
Michaela.
dear to our hearts. Taylor Christensen, a member. The Ronk, a member. Sam Bam, bro, superstar. Love you, buddy. Eric Flynn. Phil McLaughlin, who's supporting on Facebook, also a member on YouTube. Ralph Bracegirdle, dude. Enjoy Savannah. Sam multiple times. Ralph multiple times. Phil multiple times. Doc JC, a.k.a. James E. It rhymes. Thank you, bro. Randy, multiple supers. Good to see you tonight, big dog. Hope you've been well. George, Ronk, again, love you guys. Thank you so much. Zach and I are off until Thursday night, so we'll get one more episode of the show before the game. But what's going to be fun about our next episode, Zach, is it's going to be on the heels of the joint practice. So it'll be a busy night. Look forward to that. And then, yes, we'll be doing the gut reaction after the game Saturday. It's going to be fun.
Have a great start to your week. We will see you Thursday night. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.